Mister, you just scared a year's growth out of me.
Shut up and get off of that horse.
Just what do you got in mind?
I want your horse.
Well, now, you ain't got the politest way in the world of asking for it.
Quit jawing and get off of that horse.
No, I don't believe I will, unless you think you're man enough to come down here and pull me off.
I don't have to come down there. I can shoot you out of that saddle from right here a dang sight easier.
You mean you'd actually shoot a man just for a horse?
I declare, outside of me, you're about the talkingest person I ever seen. Now, I'm just going to give you a count of 3 to get off of that horse. 1, 2...
All right, old man. Here we go.
Back me down or I'll slit your throat.
Later, maybe. Right now, back into bed.
I'll tear you apart with my bare hands.
Look, you may be a wildcat when you're well, but right now you ain't got enough strength to fight a sick rabbit. Maybe some of Hop Sing's stew will fix that up.
What's all these fancy diggings?
This is a Ponderosa ranch. It's where I live with my pa and 2 brothers.
How'd they get here?
Well, after you tried to shoot me off of my horse and steal him, you passed out from that leg wound. I brought you here. The doctor in Virginia City dug that out of your leg.
Gotta give me my clothes and get me on my horse. I gotta get out of here.
If you ain't the honorest creature I ever run into, would you liked it better if I'd have left you out there on the trail to have died?
I'd have left you.
You're a liar.
Nobody calls me that. If I was able to walk around, why, I'd...
But you can't walk, and you ain't gonna be able to for a couple of weeks. The doctor said very few men could have lived through what you went through. You're a tough one, all right.
I am, so don't you go calling me no liar.
I'll go get that stew. Maybe it'll help your disposition. By the way, what's your name?
Jim Smith.
All right. Jim, stew coming up.
Patient.
Oh, he's just as cantankerous as he was out on the trail. Hop Sing!
Yes, Mr. Hart?
Hop Sing, do me a favor, will you? Take a bowl of that good stew of yours up there to the sick man. He's powerful hungry.
All right, Mr. Hoss.
Yeah, Hop Sing. You might better make it a double portion.
Yes, sir. Just like you, Mr. Hoss.
Right.
What are you gonna do with that big moose, Hoss?
Yeah, we kind of missed you today. Lifting all them fence rails sort of tired me out.
Well, he ain't gonna be here long, and that's for sure. He tried to talk me into tying him onto a horse so he could ride out of here.
Sure seems to be in a hurry to get away, doesn't he? First he tries to steal your horse, and I'd be careful of him if I were you.
I can handle him, Paul.
What happened to him? Who is he, anyway?
Well, all he told me was that his name was Jim Smith.
Oh, Smith. That's an unusual name.
Well, I wouldn't suggest you go around calling him a liar, little brother.
Well, if I do, I'll stand behind you.
Big, cantankerous, hard-headed bull. Get blame tired of packing you around.
Howdy, Cal.
Ah, Van. You're my lawyer, Jed Nelson.
Certainly. Howdy. My son, Hoss. How do you do, Mr. Cartwright?
Well, why don't we go in the house, have some coffee?
No, no thanks, Ben. We're out here on urgent business.
Oh, well, what can I do for you?
We understand you've got a wounded man in there. The doc told us.
Oh, yeah, he sure is wounded. Jim Smith.
Jim Smith? It's Jim Layton.
Well, he says his name is Jim Smith.
Well, I don't care what he says. It's Jim Layton.
Name's got quite a reputation behind it.
Well, you can add two more words to it. Thief and a murderer.
How do you figure that?
Because he stole $10,000 worth of my pelts and killed my partner to cover up for it.
They're pretty strong accusations, Mr. Stacy. Can you prove them?
As Mr. Stacy's lawyer, perhaps I can explain. Mr. Stacy's in a partnership with a fur trader out of St. Louis by the name of Amos Carter. He invested rather heavily with him in an expedition to gather beaver pelts from up north. And they hired this Jim Layton as a hunter and a scout.
So yesterday he dragged himself into Virginia City claiming that they were attacked by Paiutes. That Carter had been killed.
When I found Jim yesterday, he had a bullet in his own leg.
I know. I helped the deputy put it there when he broke jail.
So if you'll just turn him over to us, we'll take him back to Virginia City and see if we can get to the bottom of what happened to Amos Carter.
No. First place, he's too badly wounded to move.
All right, we'll get the sheriff and make it official.
I don't see why you want to protect a thieving, murdering half-breed.
That's enough, Mr. Stacy. We'll do this through legal channels. Good day.
Paul, you think I did the right thing?
Yeah, you did the right thing. Man is too badly wounded to be moved.
Yeah, old Jim's a legend in his own time, ain't he?
Yeah, well, the trouble with being a legend is that a man is liable to outdo himself trying to live up to it. Let's get to work.
If you don't mind, I'm gonna go up and talk to Jim. I'll be back in a minute. I want to ask you something. Did you break out of jail in Virginia City?
There ain't a jail in the world can hold Jim Layton when he sets his mind to get out of it.
Last night, you told me your name was Jim Smith.
Last night I wanted to get out of here and you wouldn't let me.
If you ever lie to me again, I'll beat you to a pulp the first time you're able to stand up.
Why don't you just go stick your head in a rain barrel if you can find one small enough to fit it? Anyhow, what do you care what happens to a half-breed?
Jim, when that doctor and I took the slug out of your leg, your blood looked the same as everybody else's to me.
Howdy, Hoss. Glad to see you. Want some coffee?
No, thanks.
I was just getting ready to come out to your ranch.
Yeah, I know. That's why I came in here.
About Jim Layton, huh?
Yeah. Clem, how come you to throw Jim in jail? Just because Cal Stacy asked you to?
Hoss, if I hadn't known you for so long, I might take offense to that remark.
Sorry.
I put him in jail for his own protection. Stacy was kind of riled up. I don't trust any man, especially when it's 10,000 at stake.
Clem, let me ask you something. Do you think that Jim Layton stole those belts?
Well, I don't know, Hoss. I got my men scouting the country looking for Amos Carter. And I'm reserving judgment until we find him or not, or find some evidence of what happened to him. But until then, I want Jim Layton to stick around, even if I have to put double bars on his cell door this time.
Sheriff, Cal here said he saw Mr. Cartwright coming into town, so we thought we'd drop over. Have you decided to give him up, Mr. Cartwright?
Nope. I just came in to tell Clem that I thought Jim was too sick to move. Besides, Jim Layton tells me he didn't kill Amos Carter.
Just his saying so doesn't make it absolutely true, Mr. Cartwright.
Nope. And just because you say he did doesn't make that absolutely true either, Mr. Nelson.
Everybody knows what he's like. His mother's a Crow Indian. He even brags about spilling some white men's blood. He's got jail records all over the country.
Still doesn't mean that he killed Amos Carter.
Well, I think he did. And I think he's got $10,000 worth of pelts cached away somewhere.
He denied that, Cal.
Sure he did. Jim Layton would deny 100 things for $1, let alone $10,000 worth of pelts.
But until I get some evidence either on Carter or the furs, it's your word against his. Huh?
You mean you're gonna let him stay out there at the Ponderosa?
Haas says he's too sick to be moved.
I do think he'd be safer in jail, Sheriff.
Well, I think he'd be safer on the ranch. You got my word for it. He ain't gonna get away.
Well, what makes you think that your word is good enough, Cartwright?
It's good enough for me. I'm putting Jim Layton in Haas's custody until we find out about Amos Carter, one way or another. Good day, gentlemen.
Thanks, Clem. You don't have to worry about me letting him get away either.
Well, I'm not worried about you, Haas. I just hope you're right about Jim Layton.
Thanks again, Clem. So when I was in town today, the doctor gave me this medicine for you, and you're going to take it.
I don't want your medicine, and I don't want none of your dang protection. Anyhow, what give you the right to tell the sheriff that you'd be responsible for me?
Jim, let me ask you something. How would you like it? Do you want to sit in a jail cell until they find Amos Carter?
I don't have to sit in no jail cell. I don't have to stay here. Once I get to the mountains, why, there ain't nobody can find me.
Now, you listen to me. If you leave here before this thing's settled, you'll be running like an animal the rest of your life.
Well, there's a lot of people think of me as an animal anyhow, so what difference does it make?
Oh, shut up and take this medicine.
I told you I don't want to take none of that medicine.
Look, Jim, when I told the doctor how you've been getting up out of bed and falling down, now he's afraid you're going to bust that wound open and get gangrene, and if you do, it'll kill you. Now, you're going to take this medicine whether you like it or not.
Why don't you take it yourself?
All right. You want it the hard way, you'll get it the hard way, big boy. Why, you son of a gun.
Get away from me, you big ox! Get out of here!
You're going to take this medicine, or I have to stick it in you.
I don't want any medicine.
I was just trying to get him to take his medicine, Paul.
You better tell this big ox to leave me alone, or I'm going to pound him on top of the head till he ain't 2 feet tall in his high-heel boots.
Well, it's a good thing I built this house out of strong timber. Now, do you think you two could take it easy before you go through the floor into Hop Sing soup?
You fellas sure live high on the hog around here. I don't know when I've ever had grub taste as good as that did tonight.
Yeah, well, Hop Sing, you sure outdid yourself tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Bent.
Too bad Adam and Little Joe weren't here. Although, after watching you two eat, I guess there wouldn't have been anything left for them anyway.
I'll tell you something, Paul. It's a real pleasure to have somebody in the house that makes me feel dainty.
Sometimes it ain't no pleasure being a big man, is it, Hoss? You know, I've been a battling men all my life just 'cause they wanted to knock me down a little bit.
You sure picked a rough life for yourself. Jim, what made you decide to become a mountain man?
Well, it wasn't exactly my own choosing. After they tarred and feathered me and run me out of town, why, I figured that, well, maybe living in town wasn't for people like me.
It tarred and feathered you.
Yeah, you know how it is when you're a kid. They teach you that you do good while you get your just reward. Well, I did good. I did real good. I went and crippled a feller for beating a horse, and, well, they tarred and feathered me and run me out of town. Guess that's when I learned that rewards for white people and half-breeds was two different things.
Civilized white man.
You know, the red man can be just as bad. I learned that when I went to live with my mother's folks, the Crows. After the Paiutes killed her in a raid, why, I found out that, well, I'd run out of places to go, so I just pulled up stakes and went to the mountains. You know, living alone in the mountains ain't a bad life.
Well, no man can live alone, Jim. Standing up against the world.
Well, I can.
Well, you don't have to. Because we ain't the world, Jim. We're your friends.
Now, don't you speak too fast, big feller. That cow says that I killed white men. Well, I have. When I lived with the Crows, I killed more than my share of them fighting their battles. I come close to being lynched more than once. I've been in jail in 3 different states and 2 territories. And as near as I can remember, I've killed at least 3 men in showdown fights. You know, being friends to a man like me ain't no easy proposition. I don't need your help. Like I told you, I can take care of myself.
From now on, hold us till about noon anyway, Adam. Better start riding that fence. We'll see you, Pa.
How about you? You riding with us?
I got that wagon wheel fixed over there on that freighter, Adam.
Well, I have a lot of paperwork to do. Jim, you got something to keep you busy?
Oh, I'll stick around with old Hoss here. Give him a little advice if he needs it.
Well, you can sure use it. Change of scenery do you good, too.
I'll tell you what, little feller. Let's check out these crutches I made for you.
Sure hope you built them strong enough to hold me up.
Well, they was before you had breakfast.
How much would a rig like this cost a man?
Oh, about $200 in Virginia City.
With or without horses?
Well, a strong team of horses cost a man another $400, imagine.
You mean tell me that it cost me, $700 to drive out of Virginia City in an outfit like this?
Yeah, maybe even more. The way prices are going up.
Whew. You know, if you'd told me that you could shrink iron, I'd have had to call you a liar.
Well, it's a good thing you didn't, little man, because if you had, you know what I'd have had to done? I'd have had to stuck your tongue right down on that hot iron.
Just as soon as I get off these sticks, I reckon I'm going to have to show you who's the king of the mountain around here.
Well, I'm going to be waiting, little fella. Don't you worry about that.
$700. Man, it's an awful lot of money for a feller to lay his hands on, especially if he has to do it honest.
Yep, but it could cost you a whole lot more if you try to do it otherwise. Hey, that's mighty close, friend.
What did I tell you about being friends with me?
You stuck that thing in there an inch and a half.
Yep, I'm a little rusty.
Well, I think I'd rather take my chances at 6-shooter. After that puny breakfast we had this morning, I gathered some walnuts, you know, son. Oops. Hey. See you hit that. Hey. Wow. Wouldn't be much good for skinning, would it?
I don't use it for skinning. Got another knife for that. You know, prime beaver takes special handling. Kind of like you and this here wagon wheel.
You figuring on going after more beaver when your leg gets well, Jim?
Yep, if I can find me a big enough wagon and a stout enough team to pull it.
You gotta have a wagon and a team to trap beaver?
No, but I'm sure gonna need a rig if I catch up with them engines that went and stole that load from me and Mr. Carter.
Yeah. You just remember one thing. I promised that sheriff that you'd stay here till he let you go.
That's what you told me, little man.
What do you want, Cal?
Just came out to make sure he's still around.
Easy, Jim. Easy. Easy.
I'll carve a smile across his throat from ear to ear. He's the one who went and shot me in the leg.
You're lucky it was only your leg. Because that way, you'll be able to still tell us where you hid them pelts.
Why don't you ask him Paiutes?
Look, Cal, now you've seen what you came to see. Why don't you just clear out?
What are you so touchy about, Cartwright? You make a deal with him to split those pelts when he goes after them?
You're asking to get hurt, Cal.
If I wasn't a hobbling around on these, why, I'd paint your head off.
If I had it to do over again, I'd shoot both your legs.
Jim! me. He should have stayed in jail. Okay, yeah,
An animal.
Get out of here.
Why'd you do that, you big ox?
Because you'd have killed him, that's why.
Sure, I'd have killed him. I'm a finisher. Any man that fights Jim Layton knows that.
Well, you better be glad you didn't finish off Cal Stacy.
I told you once before that I can fight my own battles. Now help me up here.
Well, I can see right now, Jim, that one of these days I'm just going to have to plain beat that honors out of you.
Yeah, and when you try it, remember what I said about being a finisher.
I get it, Mr. Cartwright. Good morning, Sheriff.
Come on in, Clem. Good to see you. Hopsing was just getting me some coffee. You join me?
Yes, guess I will.
I get it.
Come on, sit down.
Thanks.
To what do we owe the pleasure of this visit?
You still got that Jim Layton here?
Oh, yeah, just like Hoss promised. He's here. Hobbling around with those crutches, he couldn't get very far anyway. What's on your mind?
I got bad news for him.
Hmm?
We found Amos Carter in the middle of nowhere and shot in the back.
Well, you figure Jim shot him?
I don't know, Ben. But it gives Cal Stacy just what he needs to get a warrant out for Layton's arrest. Matter of fact, both of them over at Judge Flanagan's office right now.
Clem? How come you didn't wait for that warrant before you came out here?
I thought maybe if he came in voluntarily, it might go better for him.
It's real thoughtful of you. Boys went out working the range this morning. Jim went out in the wagon with them. Guess he got tired of looking at these four walls all the time. I'll ride out and tell him you want to see him.
All right. I hope you can get him to come in.
Yeah. So do I. Strange man.
Yeah. Ben, if he doesn't come in, you know I'll have to come out after him.
Yeah, I know, Clem. Thank you.
Say, me little horse forgot her noonday meal. I come back after it.
Mr. Cartwright looking for you and Mr. Hoss. He goes south for range. You see him?
No, that's where Adam and little Joe's working. What do you want?
Sheriff, he come. He say if they find Mr. Carter's body, want you go to town.
Mr. Carter's dead, huh? You sure?
Very sure. Shot in back.
Is that right? When you fix that grub, why, maybe you better make enough for 5. We run into some other fellas out there this morning.
All right, fix 5 more.
Good. Don't take too long, huh?
You told Jim the sheriff was looking for him, didn't you?
Yes, sir. And that you go look for him in South Pasture. Hobson do right?
Yeah, you did right.
Thank you, Mr. Ben.
Thank you, Hobson. Thank you.
Well, looks like he skedaddled, don't it?
Yep, sure does. Maybe had reason to.
Paul, do you think he really killed Amos Carter?
I don't know, Hoss. Killed a couple of other fellas by his own admission.
Oh, but Paul, in a fair fight.
Yeah, in a fair fight. Now, he knew that you'd given your word to keep him here. And still he skedaddled. Hmm?
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna go after him, too.
If he went up to those mountains of his, you're not gonna find him.
He didn't go up the mountain.
Now, how can you be so sure of that?
Because he told me if he could ever lay hands on a wagon team, he was going after those Indians and those pelts, and that's where he is.
Hoss, how can you be so sure that he didn't kill Carter?
Well, first of all, Paul, he couldn't kill a man to steal. And secondly, Jim would never shoot a man in the back.
Hoss, I know how you feel about him. But he's a dangerous man.
Yep. But I gave my word, Paul, that he wouldn't get away. And I'm gonna go get him. He ain't big enough to stop me. You get Hop Sing to get me some grub together. I'm gonna go out and get a fresh pony. Howdy, Jim.
Howdy, big feller.
You got enough grub there for an extra?
Yeah, you never can tell when Prince is gonna drop in. Pull up a chair. You oughta got here a couple hours earlier, and you could have helped me load my pelts.
Well, sir, if you'd have invited me back at the Ponderosa, I'd have been happy to.
Help yourself.
Looks like good stew.
Want some coffee?
No, thank you.
All right, out with it. What are you doing out here?
Jim, how many times have you told me that the Indians stole these pelts?
Well, they'd have done it, too, if I hadn't hit them first.
What are you figuring on doing with them?
I'm going to take them to Kansas City and sell them.
Jim, I got no mind to use this, but I will if I have to. I had to get the drop on you because you're so blamed fast with that frog sticker.
I told you once before, Hoss, don't you never start nothing with me unless you're a finisher.
Well, why don't you try me out and find out whether or not I am?
My bare hands against that gun?
Against my bare hands.
Now I know why you come up here all alone. You want to find out who's the king of the mountain.
It's these pelts, Jim, they come first.
You mean you want them for yourself?
If I can whoop you, we'll take them back to the ranch and let my pa judge what to do with them.
There ain't no way you can whoop me.
All right. If you whip me, then you get on this wagon and you head east. And I'll claim I never caught up with you. Bargain?
There ain't nothing that'll stop me short of murder. Now hold on. Don't get in no rush. I don't hold with fighting on a full stomach.
All right. First thing in the morning? It's gonna be a little dandy.
Yeah.
No hard feelings, Jim.
No hard feelings.
You look like you've been in a fight anyhow.
You ought to see yourself, big feller.
When you gonna head east, Jim?
I ain't a-heading east.
You ain't? You earned the right.
I wish I could, but I finally found a man that I couldn't whoop.
You couldn't whoop?
I just happened to come to before you did. Hoss, I ain't never gonna lie to you again.
Jim, did you kill Amos Carter?
No, I never. But Cal Stacy and that lawyer of his is sure gonna try to make it stick that I did.
Don't you worry. You'll get a fair trial, and you taking those pelts back in on your own, that's gonna help.
I don't believe that, Hoss, but you're the king of the mountain.
Let's go.
Well, that does it. Let's go.
Jim, I've been doing a little thinking.
You sure do things the hard way.
Yeah. Now, Amos Carter was killed. Shot in the back, mind you. Now, you didn't kill him. And you say you chased the Indians off an hour or so after he left.
What are you driving at, anyhow?
Just this. If you didn't kill him, and the Indians didn't kill him, then who did kill him?
Well, maybe somebody that stood to make some money out of him being dead.
That's exactly right. Like Cal Stacy.
Hey, you've got muscles in your head.
It don't take muscles to figure that Cal Stacy would be the only man to benefit from his death and yours, and that's how come he's been accusing you so.
Hey, maybe we better have a little talk with that gentleman, huh? Look, Charlie!
Maybe your senses got right. Brought him back. Must have been quite a battle, didn't it?
No battle. Matter of fact, when we learned who killed Amos Carter, why, old Jim came in as peaceful as a dove.
Now, we know who killed Carter. Get over to the sheriff and tell him that Layton is here.
Why, Cal, now you know dadgum good and well the sheriff's out there scouring the whole countryside for us now. But he's looking the wrong place, ain't he? I'll tell you what, Mr. Nelson, you go on over there and you wait for the sheriff. And when you see him, you tell him that me and Jim's got Mr. Carter's killer, all plucked, dressed, and cleaned.
You heard him?
Get. Oh, no, you won't. Matter of fact, that's why Jim and me came into town. We want to talk to you, Cal. Kind of private like. Why don't we move over here to this other table?
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. What do you think you're doing?
I'll tell you, Cal. Me and old Jim ain't much on talking. Especially when there's something we want to hear, right, Jim? Now, why don't you just tell us how you killed Amos Carter?
You two must have beat each other senseless. I don't know what you're talking about. Just put me on.
Sit down.
Look, I'm a free citizen. I can do as I please.
You're a murderer.
You know, Jim, I saw a funny thing one time. I saw a couple of cowboys get into a scrape. And you know what they done? One of them took his boot heel just like this, and he came down just like this on that feller's instep. Boom! He crippled that poor feller so he hobbled around the rest of his natural life.
You don't need this no more. You know, Hoss, it's real interesting what a feller can learn just from watching other people. Like you watching that cowboy with the busted foot. I lived with the Crows for quite a while, and they taught me all about scouting. I ain't never had a chance to use that lesson yet.
Tell you what, Jim. Wouldn't be fair for me and you to tear up old Bill's saloon here with Cal, so I'll cut cards with you to see who takes him outside.
Nah, you take him, Hoss. I got a terrible temper, and, well, just be our luck winding up with nobody to try for Mr. Carter's murder.
But, Jim, Cal here accused you. I think it'd be fair if you took him.
No, all right, go on, cut him.
You beat me fair and square. Well, you go ahead and take him, Jim, and I'll just hang around here and wait for you.
This ain't gonna take too long. Come on, Bart.
Wait a minute, what are you gonna do?
Now, Cal, if you don't know that by now, me and old Jim sure have wasted a lot of talent. Sure enough. Ain't you got something you'd like to tell us?
It was self-defense. We quarreled over the pelts, and I shot him, but it was self-defense.
He was shot in the back.
Your lawyer sure is gonna have a dandy time. Well, Jamie's yours. Why don't you take it?
I ain't much good at words right now, and, well, there ain't a whole lot of people that I'd say this to, but you know, Hoss, you're a real man. Almost my equal.
Almost your equal? Why, you big overgrown
All
wolf.
right, you two, look, haven't you two had enough of this?
Just 'cause this outside son of yours thinks he whooped me in a little old fight.
Little old fight.
I'll be nursing these bruises for 6 months from that little old fight.
Well, when you get your health back, why don't you come on up to my mountains? You know, this here low altitude sure has been bad for my wind.
Jim, you have yourself a good trip back, and stay out of the way of them Paiutes, see?
Thanks a lot, Mr. Cartwright. Oh, say goodbye to Adam and little Joe for me, will you?
I sure will.
By the way, when the sheriff gives you my money, why, just take out the price of my horse and outfit.
No, never mind about that. I'm going to charge that to his account.
Jim, so long.
You know, Hoss, even from up here, you're a big man.
You're no good for nothing! I've been wanting to do that myself.